Okay, this is Lisa again over at the Hutchinson Veterans Outreach Program. We actually happened to catch you guys running through town here. You're with Tribute to the Troops,
Yes, ma'am.
and you are Jim Woodruff.
Woodruff, yes.
Woodruff?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And do you want to tell me a little bit about what you got going on here? We're going to maybe go over and sneak a picture of all the bikes and stuff.
Absolutely. Well, we started 18 years ago as a response to 9/11. We started in 2004, and we had an idea about all these families that have lost loved ones in the War on Terror. And we thought, what can we do to let them know that their sacrifice hasn't gone unnoticed? So we started this ride, and we went to visit 3 families, and we just let them know that we recognized their loss, and somebody remembered, and they weren't forgotten. And from the response we got from the families and the emotion that was generated in that ride, we've been doing it ever since. This is our 18th year, again in Minnesota. It started in Minnesota. We now have chapters in North Carolina, Florida, Illinois, and Oregon. And we are out here. We visited a family today out in Dawson, Minnesota. We were at 2 in the Twin Cities yesterday, one in Maplewood and one in Anoka. We have another family in Hutchinson this afternoon, and then we will visit a 5th family out in Arlington tomorrow on the way back to the Twin Cities.
That is such great news. People need to know they're not forgotten.
Oh, they absolutely. And you know what these families want most is remember their name, remember their soldier, remember their son, their daughter. And that's what we're out to do. We show up on these motorcycles. If we showed all up in beige minivans, nobody'd notice we were there.
Exactly.
So we come in on our bikes and 60, 70 strong, however many it is today. And we make people aware. And we've been to families that the neighbor right across the street didn't know that they lost their son or their daughter or their dad. So we try to make that awareness happen, and we bring them some gifts, and we bring them some stuff that we've made for them, a plaque with their fallen hero's picture on it. And hopefully when we leave, when they're having a down day, they can look at that and say, hey, you know what? There are people out there that care about us.
Exactly. People do remember.
Well, they do. They absolutely do.
We don't always show it,
Nope.
Unfortunately, but we know, and we do care.
Yeah, life gets busy, but
Exactly.
we think it's important that these families are recognized and remembered.
Exactly, and just to take a little bit of a time and let them know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate everything you're doing. Now, if anybody wants to get a hold of your particular organization, or if they want to donate or anything like that, how would they be able to do that?
We have a website. It's called tributetothetroops.org. That's tributetothetroops.org. Or you can find us on Facebook. It's Tribute to the Troops of Minnesota. We have a page on there. And on the website you can donate. You can find our information on the Facebook page as well. We do this every year, several times a year actually, but our big weekend is the weekend after Labor Day, closest to 9/11, and of course how fitting it's the 20th anniversary of 9/11 today.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
yeah, anyone is welcome to reach out to us, and if you want to ride with us, we welcome everybody. It doesn't matter what you're riding. We even let Hondas and Suzukis ride with us.
That's nice. That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I've seen you guys going through town, and I'm like, I've seen all the flags flying and things like that, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's a perfect day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then again, so was 20 years ago.
Yes, it was. Yes, it
so
was.
it's-
We all remember where we were and when we
Exactly.
found out and how we watched it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So to have a little bit of time to remember, it's always a good thing.
absolutely. It's
And
the least
then
we can
you'll-
do. It's the least we can do, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very
Coming
much.
out and talking to us.
Oh, it's
Mind if
awesome.
We take
Absolutely.
a gander at the bikes.
Take a look. Take a look. Feel free to polish them up a little bit if you want to
Oh,
as
there
you're
we
going
go.
by.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Do you have anything else that you would like to put out there for our veterans? I know there's a lot of things going on. A lot of them are hurting.
We just want them to know that we care and we remember. And there are a lot of folks out there. If they need help, you can get help. And unfortunately, these days, more of the families have lost soldiers to suicide than they have to actionable offense. And there's a lot of help out there. They just need to reach out, and we hope that they will. They can reach out to us, and we'll connect them with somebody.
Thank
We're
you
always
very
listening.
much. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And if they can't get a hold of you one time, keep trying.
Keep
Don't
trying.
quit.
Keep trying. We will not ignore you, and we will respond.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Lisa Back. We're at the Pizza Ranch, and we're with Rocky. Rocky, can I get your last name?
Well, my name is Rocky Lynn.
Okay. And Rocky, I heard you're like the co-founder of the group here?
I'm the founder of the organization. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got it started and why you wanted to get this started?
Well, a man in my unit in the Army lost his life while serving our country, and I wrote a song about it. And when the war started after 9/11, I would sing the song when I was out performing places, and a friend of mine, John Murray from Brown University, made a little video. It's like a PowerPoint presentation. It just had soldiers doing soldier things during the verses, and then in the chorus it showed the soldiers from Minnesota who had died post 9/11. And it was an extremely powerful piece of video to me, and then I thought the mothers and the fathers and the wives and the sisters and the brothers might enjoy seeing the video.
Exactly.
And so it's just as simple as that. The first year I found 3 families, and we went to their house and handed it to them and said, "It matters to us that your son isn't here anymore.
Exactly.
That every day there's an empty seat at your table, and we're not going to forget." And when we did it for the very first family, I knew it was impactful and it was significant. And so here we are, 18 years later, still doing it.
And you ride all over Minnesota?
All over the country.
Oh, wow.
Yes, ma'am. We're in Minnesota. North Carolina is next month. That's in October. We also have chapters on the West Coast, in Oregon, people from California. We have Tennessee members from Florida and Illinois.
Wow. And you all get together just to go visit with people who have lost loved ones.
Yes, ma'am.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. I want to thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging it, and thank you for saying such nice things. It's very kind of you.
I also hear that you do work with veterans on the edge. They're maybe being pushed a little bit too far. And you do reach out to them and are willing to help with people that are on that edge.
We support every man and woman that ever wore a uniform, regardless of the circumstance.
That is fantastic.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys do some excellent work, and I think it's time that you got a really bright light shining on you. Seems
you.
like you already have one.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you so very much.
If you are ever back in Hutch, do me a favor. Our station's right up the road. We'd love to have you come play a song for us.
Oh, I would love that. Absolutely.
That would be fantastic.
If you get me the information of how to contact you,
I will
we'll do
do
it.
that.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you so much.
We're out here, and we're talking to one of the other riders from the Tribute to the Troops. Can I first get your name?
Diana Beardsley.
Okay, Diana, why are you riding with this group?
Well, the reason I'm riding with the Tribute to the Troops organization is my son, Staff Sergeant William Beardsley, was killed in Iraq in 2007. And so this organization came and visited us, and since we were big motorcyclers, we thought what a better way to pay tribute to our son than to be involved with a group like this. So that is exactly why, and it really became, we realized, a huge part of our healing process and our grief. These were people that came alongside of us and just loved on us, and so yeah, it was a big deal. So that is why we ride.
So you are one of the Gold Star moms.
I am one of the Gold Star moms. The one that just tried to photobomb us, she's a Gold Star mom as well. But yeah, there's several of us that ride on the ride. Gold Star moms, dads, brothers, sisters, children. So yeah.
I know we think highly of our families.
Yeah. Yes.
And we extend that family to all of the Gold
Yeah,
Star
we call them
families.
family, and we say, friends that are now family, but and we always say this is the worst way to meet some of the best people on the planet Earth. I mean, it is. It's an incredible. Would we give it all back in an instant? We'd rather not have this organization have to even exist, but we're thankful on this side of it that it does.
There's a reason.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly.
How long have you been riding with them?
So I've been riding with them. Our son was killed in 2007. They visited us that September because we always ride the weekend closest to 9/11. Of course, today being 9/11 was pretty poignant. So we've been riding since 2007 with them. And my husband and I both sat on the board of directors for the Minnesota chapter as well as the national chapter at times. So yeah.
I think it's fantastic. You guys come out here and you ride.
Yeah.
And not only are you using this for your own healing, but you're helping others heal as well.
Yes. Well, I'm a Christian as well, and one of the things that I always say is there's a Bible verse that says, He is the God of all comfort, and He comforts us so we can go and comfort others. And I remember after our son passed away, I was like, Lord, how are you possibly going to comfort us? I just can't see it. And then this came. And I'm like, this is exactly what He used to come and comfort us. And now, we in turn come alongside other families, and we, definitely comfort one another through it all. So, yeah, definitely the worst way to meet some of the best people ever. So.
Exactly. And it's amazing because, sometimes when, like right now, we have a lot of veterans that are really hurting because of everything going on.
Totally.
20th year anniversary.
Yeah. A lot of
people are
emotion.
hurting.
Yes.
And, they need to know that, hey, to reach out and don't stop reaching out.
Right. Well, and we did talk about how so many of our missions have been suicides lately, and there's a reason, so we need to come alongside those who have poured their literally heart, soul, and blood into this country.
Exactly.
And let them know that we care and we love them, and yeah.
Like they say, suicide is not about being weak.
No.
It's about having to stay strong for too long.
Yes. Yeah.
And a person shouldn't have to go through that all by themselves.
No, not at all. I agree.
I thank you for, being here to help other people.
Yeah, you bet.
Like I said, I think it's terrific, that you're a Gold Star family. I'm sorry about your son.
Thank you.
He did what he did for all of the rest of us.
He did. He loved his country for sure. So, yeah. So thank you.
Thank
you for doing what you're doing and keeping the word out there. And,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So.
Hey, the vets are always there for each other.
Yes, I agree.
Just sometimes just need to know it and
Yes,
hear it.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
it takes more than just my voice. It takes
Right,
everybody.
right. Well, God bless you for what you're doing.
God bless you too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Hello, Beth. Candace. Jacob, please join us, sir. Come on up, young handsome man. Berkeley. Thank you for allowing us to come to your home today to pay tribute to your family and to your son and to your brother. It is our honor to be standing on this ground. That's Jim Woodruff there. He's our ride captain. He put a couple thousand miles on trying to make sure we found our way here safely. If something would have happened to him on that ride, they would have called his wife a widow. If something happened to her, he'd be a widower. I grew up at a place called the Barium Springs Home for Children. They called us orphans. And all the words that we have in the English language, all the names and the monikers and the slang terms and the things that people become, nicknames, if you will. We don't have a word for the loss of a child or the loss of a brother or the loss of a brother-in-law. And maybe that's because there are no words. There are no words that can say what you feel and what you've gone through. So we're not going to try to say that we know how you feel. There are some people with us that do. Some Gold Star mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, wives and children. With the Gold Stars that are here, just raise your hand so they can know. Because when there are no words, Beth, the only thing left is an action. And this is an action. There are people here from all over the United States of America. People that came from Oregon, our Oregon chapter, California, Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina, Illinois, to come here to say in a very loud and very clear voice, thank you. Thank you for your family's service to our nation, for your service and your service, for your grandfathers and your great-grandfathers, and most of all, for that precious, precious young man. We have some things that we want to present to you and some things we want to say. I'm going to talk about our hero, and then everybody would like to come up and say hello to you. I know how tough this is for you. We appreciate you so much. This is Tori. She's the president of our Minnesota chapter.
And we're here to present this on behalf of this entire group of people standing behind me with our heartfelt gratitude. And the plaque reads, "We'll always remember our fallen hero. Tribute to the Troops is honored to present this memorial plaque of distinguished service to the family of CW2 James A. Rogers Jr. in remembrance of his everlasting call to bravery. Honor and sacrifice in the name of country and duty. We realize the hardship you have endured on behalf of our great nation. We want you to know that the wounds that you continue to carry in your hearts and minds will never be forgotten. It's dedicated to your family this very day, 2021. Just wanted to share a couple of things. After Beth had shared the bio with us to share with all of you, she made a note to all of us that this young woman here had just found out that she was pregnant. And James would have been an uncle. He didn't know that. She was also strong enough and struggled through the potential loss of her child as she gave the eulogy at her brother's funeral. James was calm and quiet, supportive and a true leader. He was a son, a brother, and friend. He was a light in difficult situations. He said, "We've got this," that day in the helicopter. And I just want you to know that, James, we've got it from here.
James Arnold Rogers Jr. comes from a long line of military service. His mother, Beth, and Candace are still active duty right now. His father, James Sr., served our country as well. Both of his grandfathers. His great-grandfather was in the Navy in World War II. June the 23rd, 1991 was a Sunday, and the CBS evening show 60 Minutes comes on every Sunday night, and James Sr. never missed it. So when Beth was still in labor at 5:30, James was about to have to make a decision. I'm not kidding, they talked about it. Luckily for us, at about 15 minutes to 6, James came into the world at a healthy 6 pounds, and she allowed Jim to go out in the lobby and watch 60 Minutes. That's a good mama and a good wife, right? James was a wonderful young man. He had a full head of thick, beautiful black hair. Candace was born in 90. James was born in 91. So even though they're brother and sister, they were like twins. They grew up together, and they were this close through their whole life as they grew up. And I think that really shows the closeness in this family. The family also ran an adult foster care situation. And the way that worked is people who would maybe have to go to a rest home or a nursing home would stay with them. So sometimes beside the whole family, there'd be 4 other people in that house. And James thought that that's the way it was until he went to kindergarten. His first day home from kindergarten, he came home and said to Beth, "I know that other people don't have all these people living in their house." That's what he said to her. Jim and Beth tried to expose their family to as many things as possible. They wanted their children to have all the experiences in life that they could. They wanted them to learn how to play an instrument. And Jim played the trumpet. And he was pretty good at it. They decided to expose him to a bunch of sports. Huh? Well, it's okay if you say he sucks, because I said the last boy was good in school too. Okay? That's just a little love, you know? Right? So he tried his hand at a whole bunch of sports, and he found out he was a natural athlete. He excelled at wrestling, baseball, basketball, and football. But the time he got to high school, he had firmly landed on the tennis court. He was passionate about tennis, and he was great at it. He was so good that oftentimes he would break the strings on his racket in every single match. When people play tennis, for those of you that don't know, and I didn't know, when they hit the first person to hit the ball across the net, that's called a serve. And when he would serve the ball, he would serve it so hard. I thought it was called a bat, too. I didn't know it was called a racket. So listen, I'm from North Carolina. You got to remember that. He would serve the ball so hard that sometimes the kid on the other side of the court would look at his coach and say, "I'm supposed to be able to hit that?" Right? That's what he would say to him. While he was in high school, Jim worked in LaSalle at the Western store. They'd sold pet products, and the owner of the store really took a liking to Jim. And Jim Sr., who's not here today, he's in the Czech Republic. Is that where he is? He must be. I was really looking forward to meeting him, because he decided that he was going to give one of his kidneys away to somebody who needed a kidney, because he had 2 of them that was functioning properly. And the man that owned the Western store was in dialysis. And so Beth and Candace and Jim Jr. and Jim Sr. decided that Jim Sr. would give his kidney to the owner of that store. And he did. Jim Jr. got his license in high school. He had a gray Pontiac Grand Prix. And this shows the kind of person he was. From the day he got his license, he followed the rules. He drove carefully. Beth at that time worked at the post office. And people would come into the post office and say, "I saw your boy. He was following safe distance behind the other car. He was giving his turn to signal. He was stopping." That's the kind of person he was. That's the way he followed it. But Jim comes from a long line of military service. So Jim decided that he would follow in the footsteps of his mother and his father and his grandfather and great-grandfather before him. And he joined the United States Army. He scored very well on the ASFAB. On the ASFAB, that stands for Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. Jim scored well, and he joined the Army as a 13 Delta Field Artillery Specialist. His first deployment overseas was as a Field Artillery Specialist for our country. He did a complete tour. He served our country with honor, with fidelity, with valor, and bravery. And he came home from that tour and told his mama, he says, "I think I want to learn how to fly helicopters." And Beth said, "Why would you do that? You're trying to go to college. You got all these things going on." And so he applied for the Warrant Officer Training Program. He had to compete against a lot of other applicants, but he was accepted. He graduated from that and went in immediately into Fort Rucker, Alabama at the flight school and learned how to fly the Black Hawk helicopter. His second deployment for our nation was in Iraq and Kuwait as a medevac operator, flight operator of the Black Hawk helicopter of Iraq and Kuwait. And if you go there, they got a little band shell. I've been there 14 times where we would sing. I didn't tell you this on the phone, but the helicopter pilots, the medevac pilots, they have a little tunnel dug underneath the fence. And when you go under the fence, there's a, for lack of a better word, it's a bunker. It's down under the ground, it's all covered, and they got several bunks in there, and each one of the flight attendants or the pilots have their names on the bunks. And they got a rack there with a bunch of Dr. Pepper bottles that actually have Jack Daniels in it. Ollie and Stan are the two that took me and Steve into the bunker there, but I saw C.W. Rogers' name on the bunker. This is back years ago. And what he would have to do was, when people were under fire, he would have to fly in under fire and get the wounded people out. You know how much bravery and calmness that takes to do something like that? So he came back, and he was serving our nation in the National Guard, and it come to be that they needed test pilots to test on things. So who else would they pick but the best pilot they had? The people in country called him the go-to pilot. He was the one. And when he wasn't piloting the helicopter, he'd go in there and work on them with them. He'd go in there and help them fix them, because that's the kind of man he was. He was respected by his superiors and by his non-commissioned officers and the people that were in his charge. So there was a Black Hawk helicopter that needed an engine repair, and they had repaired the engine, and they wanted him to test flight it. May I see that, Jim? So on December the 5th, he went up to test this helicopter. They got up in the air, and one of the engines failed. So they had to put full power on the other engine. That engine failed as well. If you listen to the cockpit voice recording, those two pilots did not freak out. They did not lose their mind. They did not panic. They worked the problem the same way he drove a car, the same way he worked wrestling matches in school, the same way he learned to serve a tennis ball. He worked it. They talked it back and forth. They tried to fix the problem to save that aircraft and ultimately save their lives. Unfortunately, that UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter crashed just southwest of St. Cloud. Folks, Tom Cruise never flew an F-14. And Clint Eastwood never climbed a mountain and attacked Heartbreak Ridge. And John Wayne never was a special operations soldier. And Richard Gere never was an officer. But James Arnold Jr. were all of those things. It is because of men like James Arnold Jr. that we are free. It is because of men like him that are not afraid to stand a post and not afraid to stand on a wall and say, "Not tonight, not while I watch," that we have the freedoms we have and that we stand in this yard today. And Tribute to the Troops is here today to say to you in a loud and clear and definite voice, thank you. Thank you for your family service. It is because of families like yours with generations of service to our nation that we are this very nation that we stand here. James Arnold Rogers Jr. was an incredible son. He was an irreplaceable brother. He was an uncle. Wherever she went. Can she leave on her own?
Pretty soon, though.
And he was a chief warrant officer in the United States Minnesota National Guard. And this is his family.